Without objection.
Okay. So here's the deal. How are we supposed to have confidence when you're sitting up here telling the Senate yesterday that it will take you 14 years before you can get the FBI fully staffed to do their jobs? You're also now redirecting resources so that they can go and play ICE agents on the streets. You're getting rid of your most qualified people. And even when it came down to somebody that you consider to be a friend, you were posted up having some fancy dinner to the extent that you posted not only once erroneously, you posted twice erroneously as it relates to catching somebody. And then you want to go and say, let me take a victory lap. Because honestly, if it wasn't for parents deciding that they were going to turn in their child, it seems like y'all wouldn't have got there, even though he literally confessed online. So I'm confused about what it is that the FBI is doing except for trying to put on a show.
This moment wasn't just about a fiery exchange in Congress. It was about a deeper crisis of trust in American law enforcement leadership. When lawmakers confront an FBI director this forcefully, it signals something far more serious than partisan theater. It reflects fear, frustration, and a growing belief that the institutions meant to protect the public are drifting away from their core mission.
I definitely take issue with a number of decisions that Donald Trump makes, especially when it comes to the people that he decides to appoint to very important positions, including this one, because I did have to make sure that I wasn't going crazy. But when I say that you are the least qualified FBI director in the history of the FBI, that is real, because you are the only one that never even served with the FBI prior to joining, yet we are supposed to believe that you are the greatest thing since sliced bread. I didn't ask you a question. Now, what I want to go through is to talk about why you are a failure and why, honestly, we just need to tell you bye-bye. I know that you got a little upset and you put on your show for your boss because it seems like you're trying to save your job when it came to talking to Senator Booker yesterday. But let's go through some of your failures. So before you were even confirmed, and I think one of my colleague from Georgia, pointed out that you are already targeting career officials so that you could direct illegal firings. Mind you, these cases that you were so upset about, which are the ones tied to Trump, the cases came through his handpicked FBI director. And frankly, when people sit around and say things like, oh, you know, we're happy because now we feel safe. I don't know who feels safe in this country except for the white supremacists, because I specifically as a black woman definitely don't feel safe. And frankly, my colleagues have been real nice to you today, and I applaud them, but I don't have the same demeanor because I know that multiple colleagues on this side of the aisle have faced death threats. In fact, somebody tried to kill one of my colleagues. And frankly, I don't know if this FBI or under your leadership, if those people would have been caught. I don't have any confidence in you. And if we start talking about the reasons that I lack confidence, we could start with you not just wanting to acknowledge some simple facts. Simple facts like the vast majority of the threats are coming from right-wing extremism. And I know my colleagues have tried to stress this, but I decided that I would maybe do it in a different way. Number one, I have a couple of UCs. Kim Buck, one of multiple Republicans receiving death threats for voting against Jim Jordan as House Speaker.
Without objection.
Another one, Republican lawmaker says she received death threats after voting against Jim Jordan in Speaker's race.
Without objection.
In addition, there was another one from another colleague who now is leaving Congress because they said that they were calling his wife anonymously and threatening her life to the extent that she ended up sleeping with a firearm.
Without objection.
Okay, so here's the deal. How are we supposed to have confidence when you're sitting up here telling the Senate yesterday that it will take you 14 years before you can get the FBI fully staffed to do their jobs? You're also now redirecting resources so that they can go and play ICE agents on the streets. You're getting rid of your most qualified people. And even when it came down to somebody that you consider to be a friend, you were posted up having some fancy dinner to the extent that you posted not only once erroneously, you posted twice erroneously as it relates to catching somebody. And then you want to go and say, let me take a victory lap. Because honestly, if it parents deciding that they were going to turn in their child, it seems like y'all wouldn't have got there, even though he literally confessed online. So I'm confused about what it is that the FBI is doing except for trying to put on a show for the apprentice or whatever you want to call him. The day after all of this took place, there was domestic terrorism that was taking place at HBCUs. They were targeted. Yet I didn't hear anything from the FBI about what was going on. And again, black people kept saying, how did we end up in this? Because the numbers are so very clear that white supremacy is a problem. And honestly, I've not heard anything out of you today that makes me believe that you're going to do anything about the white supremacy problem. The one that is leading to children being killed, children being shot, as well as members of their community as they're worshiping in their churches.
For honest breakdowns of power, accountability, and what's really happening behind these hearings, be sure to subscribe to the channel. At the heart of this issue is qualification and credibility. The FBI is not a ceremonial role. It is one of the most powerful law enforcement positions in the world. When leadership lacks deep institutional experience, it creates uncertainty inside the agency and doubt outside of it. Career professionals begin to feel targeted, morale drops, and enforcement priorities become unclear. That vacuum of confidence doesn't just affect Washington. It affects whether everyday Americans believe threats against them will be taken seriously. If you care about how leadership decisions ripple through the justice system, subscribe for more deep dives like this. The most alarming concern raised here is not tone or politics, it's safety. Threats against lawmakers, religious institutions, and marginalized communities are not hypothetical. They are documented, escalating, and overwhelmingly tied to extremist ideology. When leadership hesitates to name the problem clearly or redirects resources away from counterterrorism, it sends a message that some dangers are being minimized. That silence speaks loudly to communities that already feel vulnerable and exposed. If you want coverage that doesn't water down these realities, hit subscribe and stay informed. Another major red flag is priorities. When an agency tasked with fighting domestic terrorism says it will take over a decade to be fully staffed while simultaneously shifting agents into unrelated enforcement roles, people have every right to ask what the plan actually is. Law enforcement is not a reality show, nor is it a branding exercise, and it's certainly not about taking public victory laps. It's about prevention, intelligence, and showing up before tragedy strikes. For clear-eyed analysis of where policy meets consequence, subscribe to the channel. My view is simple. Leadership that cannot plainly acknowledge the greatest threats facing the country cannot effectively stop them. White supremacist violence is not a talking point. It is a measurable, deadly pattern. Ignoring it, downplaying it, or refusing to confront it head-on costs lives. Accountability in moments like this is not disrespectful, it is necessary. If you want unfiltered commentary that centers truth over comfort, make sure you subscribe before you go.